Get ready for back to school with H&M. From mix and match basics to new denim styles, find their favorites for in and out of the classroom at your nearest H&M and on hm.com.
Get lost in the acoustic brilliance of 3D audio that surrounds you. Feel the embrace of the massage seats that adapt to your every move. Experience the warmth of a vehicle that welcomes you as you approach. We could tell you what makes a Lincoln SUV so extraordinary, but don't take our word for it. Take it on a test drive at the Lincoln Summer Invitation with exclusive offers on now, only at your local Lincoln retailer.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And I am so pleased to welcome back to the show former WWE Intercontinental Champion, former WCW Television Champion, the author of a brand new book, Bad to Good, the inspiring story of a wrestling wild man. Pleased to welcome back Marc Mero. Marc, welcome back to Wrestling with Heart.
Stanley, thank you for having me back. Good to see you again, man.
It's good to see you. Was reading your new book, incredible. Wanted to touch on some stuff here we didn't really get to talk about last time. You had a really interesting childhood. You know, parents got divorced at an early age. That must have been hard.
You know, and the cool thing I think that happened in my life is going through these adversities. I understand what someone is going through when I meet these young people, especially at the schools of their parents maybe going through divorce. And it brings back the memories of my parents going through. I was only 8 years old. So I can really relate to that heartache and confusion as a young person. And even, you know, kids that felt like, in fact, you blame yourself. Like, what did I do wrong that my parents are splitting up? And so going through all those gamut of emotions and situations, I understand and am able to help so many young people that are going through similar things. And not just with divorce, but with anything, with a broken heart, divorce, a drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever it would be, I've been able to relate to.
Yeah, I mean, as a young kid, I mean, losing your parents at 8 years old, it does something to you. Start getting into trouble. You had mentioned some instances where you were getting involved with some things and joined the wrong crowd, started getting into the drugs and stuff like that. How old were you when you started drinking alcohol for the first time?
Well, I mean, that didn't come until later on in my life. I mean, once I pretty much got out of high school is where I really started to go south, you know, and make some really bad choices in life. You know, we become who we surround ourselves with. I tell this to students all the time. Your friends are like elevators. They either take you up or they take you down. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, I mean, they say choose your friends wisely, and you really have to be careful of the path that you go down. You had mentioned in your book about starting fires. How did that all come about?
It was one particular fire, Stanley. No, I was a little kid. You know, my dad was kind of disciplinarian, so this was before my parents were divorced. And he was getting a back operation in the hospital, so he wasn't there. And I thought, oh, you know, my dad's not here. And I had this in my bedroom. My bed sheets had these little fringe tassels hanging off them. And I remember getting a lighter and lighting one of the fringes. It would just kind of just crawl up the side of the bedspread, and it would usually go out. And I would do it over and over. And I started doing like a bunch at a time. Well, this particular time, it just went up fast and caught the whole bedspread on fire, and it started getting so high that it started hitting the ceiling. And that's when I got really scared. And I went and woke up my mother and said, "Mom, there's a fire." And she comes running down, and we had to get out my brother who was 2 years younger. We had to get him out of the house, and we had to get my sister out of the house. And we sat there in the street, and all the neighbors were coming out. And I just remember it was really cold that day, and we were all outside watching our house burn. And it was traumatic. And all I kept thinking about is what's my dad going to do when he gets home? Because this is going to be a whooping, man. But it was really amazing. When my dad did finally get home, we had to stay at a neighbor's home while they rebuilt our house. And while we were staying at the neighbor's house, I'll never forget my dad taking me in the room, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in so much trouble. And my dad just looked at me, and he could see that, there was nothing more he could do that make me feel any worse than I already felt. And he just asked me, "Did you learn your lesson?" I said, "Dad, absolutely." He never hit me, never said another word about it. And we had the house rebuilt, and it was, months down the road, we moved back into our home. But it's a story I never shared. I thought, I want to share stories that I've never told anybody about, growing up and things I went through. And sometimes people don't understand that we all have our flaws in life. We all have our, things that we've been through or have done that maybe we never should have or regretted or whatever it would be. But I think about all the paths I took in life, good or bad, have led me to the place I am today. And Stanley, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more blessed to be able to do the things I love to do, travel all over the world, help as many people as I can help, and continue to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you're sharing these life lessons with the kids that you're talking to and speaking to these kids at schools. Um, Now, I found something pretty interesting. So before you got into wrestling, you started watching at an early age. You were a fan of Bobo Brazil. What was it about? What was it about Bobo that made you go, man, this is so amazing?
Well, Bob Brazil was just a character as far as, he kind of do this cocoa butt, and these guys would just fly for him. I mean, he'd bop him on the head, and we used to think that was the coolest thing. My brother and I would always wrestle in our own room. We had bunk beds, so we would be on the top bunk bed wrestling around. Well, that bunk bed broke and fell through, and all the wood frame busted. So, my mom couldn't afford a new bed. So we would put him on the ground and it'd be the shape of a wrestling ring. So we said, "This is great," and we'd wrestle each other. One guy's being the good guy, the other guy being the bad guy. And then the cocoa butt would start coming out. We'd bop each other on the head and had so much fun. Well, anyways, but long story short, my dad got his tickets to come see at the Buffalo War Memorial Auditorium. And the main event was the Bobo Brazil, our hero, against the Sheik, the original Sheik. And we'd have good seats. We were up so high, but we were watching, and Bobo Brazil was really destroying the Sheik, bouncing him all over the ring. And then all of a sudden, the Sheik reached in his trunks and pulled out a pencil, and he started stabbing Bobo in the head. And I couldn't believe this was happening. And I remember that Bobo Brazil, when he stood up, blood was pouring out of his head. And I said to my dad, "Oh my gosh," I was so scared because I was thinking, what if he comes? First of all, I asked my dad, "Why aren't they getting the police?" I couldn't understand why this guy was allowed to do this. And then I thought, what if he comes up here? We're up so high. So it was a traumatizing experience being a little kid watching this, but this is what the coolest thing about this story, telling you this story, Stanley and the listeners out there, was now fast forward to when I'm the character Johnny B. Bad, wrestling in WCW and wrestling at, I believe it was Cobo Arena or Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Can't remember which one it was, but anyways, the original Sheik comes backstage to say hello to the boys, comes in the dressing room, and he comes up to me and goes, "Man, I love your character." And he says, "I'm the Sheik." And I said, "The original Sheik?" And he said, "Yes." And I shake his hand, and I pull him in, I give him a big hug. I go, I gotta share a story with you. And the smile on his face said it all, that he was able to, exude that character so well that he just traumatized this little kid who will never forget it. That why weren't the police going after this guy? He's a murderer. And those were some fun times. But just to get to meet him, before he obviously passed away, but to get to meet him and to know him, and what a joy that was, and what it was a joy to tell that story to
Yeah,
him.
talk about a full circle moment,
Yes.
for sure. Now, you'd mentioned Johnny B. Bad. We talked about how the character kind of came about last time we spoke. Dusty Rhodes was very instrumental with that character, and you got paired up with Teddy Long as your manager. How did the two of you cross paths?
I mean, obviously, I was very green, and Teddy was an experienced person in the business, so they put me with him to help with the talking and the points of what we wanted to come across until I learned on my own more and more. Remember, I signed my first contract in 1991. I only had a couple matches under my belt, independent matches, so I really was green. But working with Teddy was so much fun. I mean, we really started really taking this character to another level, with all our little catchphrases, the kiss that don't miss. I'm so outrageous, it's contagious. I don't sit down, I get down. And the list goes on and on. And we'd come up with, do the boxing things. He'd hold the hand mitts up for me. And then we always had it so the last thing was the left hook, and the hand would go flying off into the crowd. We just had a lot of fun. We'd be dancing in the ring to the music, and then that's why I became a fan favorite so quickly. And then they split Teddy and I up, which I wish we could have stayed together much longer. We were really killing it, having fun doing that. But the fans started really liking it, because then I started coming out with the bad blaster and the frisbees, and making my entrance was often much longer than my matches. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always amazing when you have these like flashy characters with some pretty cool entrances. Who came up with like the outfits and the costumes for the character?
Well, Sandra Gray, who was very prominent, probably the best seamstress in wrestling history. Um, Before that, she just made clothes for kids that danced. And I remember we put an ad in the paper looking for someone that could make costumes. We wanted to really take it outrageous. And when Sandra met me, she came to my home, and we sat down and we started drawing up, and she's coming up with ideas, the capes and the robes and all these extravagant things that she was able to make. And so I was the first one that she made costumes for. Now she makes like Cody Rhodes's stuff and Roman Reigns and a bunch of the guys, top guys. She only works for a couple guys now, but me and her really had a lot of fun doing it, and she loved seeing her creations on television, and we just got more and more outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about some of the promos you were cutting, like that Muhammad Ali-esque kind of
Yeah.
rhymes. Those are so amazing, watching those back. You got to work with guys like Stone Cold when he was stunning Steve Austin, and also got to work with DDP and amongst many others. What was it like working with those guys?
I was so blessed to be in wrestling when I was, because it was like the golden era of wrestling, the WCW days and the Attitude Era. And, wrestling the top guys, I'm talking about Sting and Ric Flair and Stone Cold and Undertaker and Triple H and DDP, and the list goes on and on. Steve Regal, when I won my first title from him. There's so many great wrestlers that I was blessed to be able to be in the ring with. And, it's something like wrestling. Like, I'll give you an example of wrestling a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin. When, he was stunning Steve in WCW, we wrestled hundreds of times, because we wrestled in not only WCW for the US title over and over, or WCW television title or whatever it was. And then, of course, both jumping ship to WWE, and then wrestling for the Intercontinental title. And, just so many memories of guys like that. And Triple H, being on the road with him, because we were both in WCW and WWE together. So another guy with hundreds of matches. DDP, I can't tell you how many pay-per-views we opened against each other. And one of my closest friends. I mean, we both live about 20 minutes apart here in Atlanta. And so, I just looking back on my career and said, wow, what a great time to be in this industry, because he had the Monday Night Wars too. People are flipping back and forth, and you hope that your segment really pulls in the viewers. And working with Sable back then, being the bad guy, really got high marks, and a lot of people wanted to see that because she was always going to one up me, no matter what I did to her.
Yeah, definitely one of the hottest periods in wrestling history was the Attitude Era, and you left WCW for WWE. Uh, I want to talk about the Wildman character because that's such a departure from Johnny B. Bad. Whose idea was it coming up with that character?
Well, what happened was I think Vince really thought we could do something like Johnny B. Bad-esque, and but they realized there were so many lawsuits going back and forth because guys were jumping ship and all kinds of things were happening between WWE and WCW. So we had to go a completely different direction. And I'll never forget when I went to they had a meeting where they flew me and my ex-wife Sable. They flew us in, and the meeting was to discuss my new character or what they were going to have me do. And they had drawings made and everything. And I'll never forget Vince McMahon goes, "What do you think of Wildman, Marc Mero?" And I'm thinking, okay, so they're going to use my real name. And I said to Vince, I go, "Well, what's a Wildman?" He goes, "Can you do a Tarzan yell?" And I don't have a very strong voice. It gets really crackly when I start speaking loud. And I said, "No, I don't think I can do a Tarzan yell." And "I like the Wild Man." I thought, and I said, "Well, am I from the jungle? I mean, what am I?" He goes, "Well, you got this beautiful girl next to you," and it goes on and on. And it was like, whoa. Anyways, that was my character, and I think that I never really connected with it. And Johnny B. Bad was such a fun character because it was so opposite of who I really was. So it was like playing this character every day. Where Wildman was kind of, in a sense, kind of like me, but it was different, and it was like hard to play it and to connect with it, I guess you'd say. And the fans never really connected with it, and especially when you're walking out there on your debut and you got this beautiful girl in your arms. Who are they going to look at? It's from our demographics are like 18 to 24, and you got these young men, and you see this beautiful woman. Who are they going to look at or cheer for? So it really turned out well, though, the way it all worked out, because then when I became a bad guy, it was the hottest thing going because of me going against her, but her always, coming out on top and giving the fans what they want.
Yeah, I mean, the Attitude Era really had such an incredible impact on professional wrestling. People still talk about it to this day. Your feud with Sable was one of those rivalries that people still remember. And did you help Sable train to become a wrestler?
It was one of those things where she was so popular, they wanted to see her wrestle. And, she agreed to it, but she didn't know how to take bumps. I mean, she never did anything like this. She's kind of a fragile girl in a sense that, she's not going to take bumps and hurt herself. She didn't want to do that, but she agreed to do it. And we taught her a few moves, and she's very athletic. I mean, she'd learned, the Sable bomb, she did the wild thing off the top rope, or not the wild thing, the Steiner, Frankensteiner off the top rope. She did a lot of really cool moves that taught her, and then taught her for a finish was my TKO move, which she did great. But she had great people working with her that made her look so good. I mean, when you talk about wrestling Tori and Luna Vachon and Jackie, they all knew their role and they knew they had to get her over. So they made her look like $1,000,000, like she's done this her whole life. And she really I thought she did a great job for the limited time she had to prepare for a match and get ready for. Remember, her first match is like WrestleMania. I mean, here we are at sold out Fleet Center in Boston, and she blows the roof off the place when she comes out after Luna during that match.
Yeah, WrestleMania is like the biggest show of all time. I mean, I'd imagine you were on cloud nine getting that opportunity.
Oh man, it was great, and to get a win at WrestleMania and start our feud together. Me acting like it was all because of me, where she actually got the pin in the match. So it was a really fun fun thing. And and I hear people say, well, it kind of ruined your career because you let her get over. But you know what? When you look back on life, I don't live with regrets, and whatever happened, happened. But our goal was to make her a star. And that's what we did. And she became one of the biggest female stars ever in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, definitely Hall of Fame worthy for sure. It was helped to kind of help transcend the business.
Well, all my other managers are in the Hall of Fame. Jackie, Teddy Long, she should be too.
Yeah. You as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you were able to, have such an incredible career, not just in the ring, but out of the ring, with your charity, Champions of Choice. We talked about this last time. Was there like a pivotal moment for you where you were like, I really want to help these people because I've been through it. Now this is my time to pay it forward.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that even when I was with WCW, we're talking over 30 years ago, I was going to schools then and nursing homes and rehabilitation centers and helping people and, giving a positive message. And then I just fell apart, eventually and made some really bad choices in life, but then making this amazing comeback where now in fact, this coming school year will be my 19th year speaking at schools. And, before the pandemic, I was averaging 230 a year. Now it's a crazy schedule. And I just enjoyed so much. And I'm looking forward to, these next whether it's a year or two more, I don't know how many more years I'll continue to do it. But while I do it, I love it. As long as the students continue to enjoy it, it's crazy that more people recognize me from public speaking than they did from wrestling. I mean, I'll go through the airport and someone will come to me and go, "Hey, aren't you that YouTube guy?" or something like that. I saw your speech about your mom or something that, resonates with them because of something I said or did other than wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, you give these inspirational quotes and messages that resonate with a lot of people. What are some of the messages that you feel have been the most um, inspiring to you?
Well, I think that so many people are that get judged by other people, they take it to heart, and it really affects a lot of young people. And now with social media and everything that, these kids get so hooked on social media, they spend hours just scrolling through their phone at night and they don't get the sleep they need. And you see a lot of attitude problems and depression, anxiety, things that I've never seen the likes of which it is now. But also, to cherish your family, man. I lost my mom was only 58 when she passed on.
So
My
sorry.
little brother died 2 weeks after my mother. He was only 21. My sister died at 21. And I just seen so much death in my life that I really appreciate every moment. I don't live in time, I live in moments, and every moment is something I cherish. And every day I want to have a reason to get up in the morning. Like Stanley, I'll never retire. I'll just refire. You have to have a reason to get up every day and do something. And that's what's so sad is like so many people wait their lives to retire, to get away from this job that they had a reason to get up every day for. And the statistics prove that many times within 6 years, a lot of people that retire are gone or dead. You have to continue to do something. I'm not against retirement, but I'm saying find something else to do in life. Find something that is your passion, your joy, helping other people. Man, I tell you, there's no greater joy than helping another person. And every day receiving letters from students or parents or someone that I may have helped and never even realized that that's all a video or a quote or something I said. It's the greatest joy in life.
Definitely. I love that phrase refire instead of
Yeah.
retire. Definitely is like a big motivational tool. Mark, for you, what's like your go-to in terms of getting over something, whether it's feeling depressed or sad? Some people like listening to music or going to the gym. Do you have something that keeps you going as far as like getting out of that space?
Well, first and foremost, it's my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. I really have given my life to Christ, and I just want to be an example. I want his love and light to shine through me in some way. And it's funny because anyone that really knows me goes, "You're always in a good mood." And that's like the best compliment you can get is this for someone to say that. I don't, you know, relish or talk about my problems or what problems do I have? I'm blessed in life, and I think about the minute things that I may have gone through or whatever. And I see people that are losing their job or going through divorce, or I can't imagine their heartache. And I think I'm just blessed, and I want to continue to do what I do. But I think faith is so important, but also surrounding yourself with other positive people. Like I love getting with DDP. I mean, gosh, we out positive each other. We always challenge each other too, whether it's push-ups or ab workout or whatever it is. We always challenging each other and it always ends up with laughter, because we're getting older now and we're not like we used to be where we can go, 2-hour workouts or whatever, because he puts me through what he calls the gauntlet, which is the ice bath. It's the on the bike with the oxygen tanks on. Then it's the DP yoga workout with the power cuffs, and then stretching. And oh my gosh, it's an incredible workout that he takes a lot of. He has a lot of celebrities that come to his place and do the workout now, but we do it as buddies and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always good to have those moments where you're with your friends and you're constantly like betting on yourself and challenging yourself to do different things. It just makes us feel good and our bodies feel good whenever you're doing these things and exercising and working out, because it gets you out of that comfort zone. Now you said you've been all across the country, you've been around the world. What have been some of your favorite places to go visit and talk to kids?
Oh my gosh, I think the craziest one, when I say crazy means like you would never expect this. When I went to Russia and spoke at their schools in Russia, and I had a translator that was phenomenal. Like this translator was so good. He would like tear up at every single presentation. It was like I was talking to the kids, So I would talk and then pause, and he would say what I'm saying. So it was never like we were stepping over each other. He was so good. He really listened well. And but the kids were just like our kids. There was no difference. Like if they didn't speak a different language, I would never know anything was different. They all wanted to come up and give me a high five or hug me or sign their shirt or whatever it would be. It was amazing. The kids were so receptive to it. And then I went to drug and rehab centers in Russia. I spoke at a big church in Russia too, which was something I'll never forget. And seeing all those people, raising their hands and praising God, it was just beautiful. The other one that was really, really stands out to me is when I went to Guatemala, and spoke not only to all the students, but then they had all their parents come back at night. And these parents were really engaged in their kids' lives. Now, which was amazing about this one was that during the day, I spoke to, I don't know, a couple thousand students, but I got to speak in my own native tongue, English. They all learn English over there. They grow up learning English. So now, fast forward, I go to the night event where they have like 3 translators, and all the parents have headphones on. So the different translators are translating what I'm saying to the parents because they don't speak English. And it was just amazing dynamic that how this world is changing so much, where so many people are learning English as opposed to their not just their native tongue. But yeah, going to different countries has been phenomenal. But I mean, there's nothing like being in the United States. I love help. I go to Canada a lot too. In fact, I'm kicking off my 19th year in Canada at a tribe, the Indian reservation. And I love doing those also because we're seeing a lot of issues with Indian reservations with young people that are getting involved in alcohol and drugs at a very young age. So we hope to make a difference there.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to be able to speak to so many people across the world and really help them, lift them up whenever they're feeling, you know, down and they're struggling, inspiration, giving them motivation to change their life for the better. And you put out your new book, Bad to Good.
Yes,
Talk
I
to me
got it,
about,
got it right here. I tell you,
yeah.
it's done absolutely phenomenal. One of the best sellers on Amazon. And I got to thank my co-writer Ben Veal. I had such a great time with Ben writing this book. And now, as you know, Ben lives in England, so we would do Zoom calls and we do hours at a time. And just I would share stories with him, and he would take those stories and make them jump off the pages. I mean, he was just such a great writer, and it turned out to be a great friend. And we've done very well. And it's a fairly thick book. I mean, it's like almost 400 pages. And it's some crazy stories. I said, you know what? I'm going to share some stories that people would never know about me, through drug trafficking and making some really bad choices, to overcoming addiction, overcoming depression, anxiety, all these things that I went through in my life, to coming to a place where I wanted to end it all, and then rebounding and making the most incredible comeback in life. And if I can do it, anyone else out there can do this, man. I'm telling you, it's just don't give up. Just don't give up. Crawl, walk, then run, man.
Exactly. It's baby steps. Take those baby steps and then work your way up, and then you get to where you need to be. Now, do you have a specific favorite chapter of the book that you got to write?
You know what? I think that the chapters that I enjoyed was when we talked about, it's what I do now. I love, I mean, obviously we shared all the stories from wrestling and stuff, because we certainly wanted to give the wrestling fans something to really enjoy about the book. And I was very forthcoming about my time, and obviously my divorce from Sable, and moving on in life, and how that takes its toll on you. And then and now finding a person in my life that I absolutely adore, and just having the best time. We all go through heartaches, but after every storm, the sun will eventually shine. And I tell people it's gonna be brighter than you could ever imagine. Man, just don't give up, man. Just keep moving forward, keep moving forward. And that's what I did. I just kept moving forward. And then it's like almost like God assigns people in your life. You meet someone, you get invited to this thing, something happens, but stay positive, because man, there's something amazing about a positive attitude. It helps your health. It helps your relationships. I mean, who wants to be around a miserable person that's always talking about someone else, or they hate this, or they hate themselves, or whatever, I just love being positive. I love lifting other people up, man. We all rise together.
Exactly. Now, what's the most rewarding feeling about helping others and speaking to schools and writing the book?
I think getting the letters, man. We've gotten so many letters from writing this book, that it's just like speaking at a school. When I go to schools, I often get, gosh, well over 100 messages from students through social media platforms. But this particular book, we've been getting some great reviews. I mean, I haven't even seen a bad review about the book. It's just been incredible. But that's one of my favorite things, and knowing that something I said helped someone, or even maybe saved their life. It's the greatest feeling in the world to know that God could use me, someone that was giving up and then just made this amazing comeback. And I realized that, man, it's not as hard as people think it is. It takes determination. It takes surround yourself with others, positive people, man. Get rid of the negative people, man. We become who we surround ourselves. Even in the Bible, I mean, years ago, God said this. He said, 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, don't be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And that is so true.
Yeah, I mean, I think helping others just goes a long way. Being kind to strangers really makes a difference, because you just never know what somebody's going through in their life, and they could use
Yes.
that helping hand. Well, Mark, I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about how you can get the book, as well as your social media and your champions of
Yeah,
choice?
please pick up your copy of the book. You just go to Amazon.com and type in Marc Mero, and it's bad, BADD, to good. And I think you'll really enjoy reading it, and especially if you're going through some adversity in life, a broken heart, a divorce, the loss of a loved one. It's all in there. So, and then of course, follow me on social media. Just type in my name, Marc Mero. You'll find me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, or X. What's the other ones? Instagram. TikTok. I'm all over the place. So check it out. I got a lot of videos out there, and would love to hear from you. I often write back people that write to me. So if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you.
I would love to. This book's incredible. If you haven't read it already, go check it out. This book is inspiring, and it's got some great stuff in there. So go check out Bad to Good. Marc, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back. We'll do a part 3.
Thank you, Stanley. You do a great job, man. It's always fun to talk to you. It's just all we do is have conversation, and you're the top. Thanks, man.
I appreciate it. Take care.
All right.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.